What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Breakdown Sportscast. I am your host, Kory Willis. I hope everyone is doing well on a Friday, getting ready for a week that's going to have a lot of great football in it in week 2. So, yeah, I hope you all are finishing up your plans, getting everything situated, tailgating, all of that good stuff, and getting ready for a great week 2 in college football. As always, we appreciate you all listening in on the show. You know where to find us. We're on many streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Amazon Audible, iHeartRadio, and many other streaming platforms out there. So we very much appreciate you all support with the show. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us know what we're doing and how we can improve the show for the future for you all. So we very much appreciate you all's support. As always, I'm here with my good friend and co-host. You know who he is. He is Chris Bolton. Chris, what's going on, man?
Nothing much. Ready for this exciting week 2 that we have upon us. More questions will be answered, and I'm sure we'll continue to see the cream of the crop separate themselves from others. So I'm ready to see some of the teams that we've had our eye on all off season continue to see if they can trend upward, and then see if how some other teams react and if they trend downward.
No, you're absolutely right, man. It's this is another week of show and tell, kind of showcasing what you have on the field and proving a lot of the data of the dollars wrong out there for this season. So it's you don't have that many weeks in the season, Chris, to get right, have those get right games, as a lot of people always say. So you got to take every week that you can to improve. So hopefully we can see a lot more from a lot of different teams that are coming up on the horizon and building upon what is so far a very busy season in terms of just news and things of that nature. So
yeah. Let's get to it. We have several different things to get into. One that just kind of, you might have saw it coming just based off of how it looked like a player might have suffered an injury. So we kind of saw this coming, but it did kind of hit us in the middle of the week too.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard the news coming out of the Florida Gators camp, Graham Mertz suffered a concussion in that game against Miami, so he's not going to be playing in this game. Instead, true freshman backup Chris, DJ Lagway. We've heard a lot of people talk about DJ Lagway being that next guy in the Gators program and being one of those generational guys. He's going to step in place for Graham Mertz this coming Saturday against Samford. So what are your thoughts about this, Chris? I'm very excited. I haven't really seen much tape from DJ Lagway from when he was in high school or anything, so I'm not fully in the know on how good he is. I've just heard a lot of people in Florida talk about how skilled he is.
Oh, he's extremely skilled. Dual threat quarterback, has a live arm. Very talented arm. Very talented runner as well. So he's just a legitimate athlete. As soon as he committed to Florida, signed with the Gators, people around Florida were already, chanting his name and ready for him to hit the field and possibly play over Graham Mertz. And, Graham Mertz isn't a bad quarterback at all, but with him suffering from the concussion, his opportunity for DJ has come a little sooner, a little quicker than people anticipated. But just be honest with you, Kory. I don't think the coaching staff is feeling too bad about having to insert DJ so soon. This is if you're Billy Napier, man, in the words of SpongeBob, we down to Plan Z. You we trying to find anything and everything that can stick. So if this is what it takes to keep your job, and this is who gives you the best chance, by all means, man, you got to do what you got to do. In Florida, they're just grasping for anything at this point, based off of that game against Miami and just how they kind of looked and just responded when faced with adversity. So we're going to see how they play. I'm expecting a big game just off of talent alone by DJ, but this will be needed as they continue for, hopefully he has a big game and can get his confidence up, because they're going to need all of his talent as they continue throughout the season if he ends up ultimately being the guy.
No, you're right. 6'3", 241 pounds out of Willis, Texas. I mean, I'll tell you this, just knowing that him coming out of the state of Texas, I mean, definitely Florida definitely saw something out of him. So it's going to be interesting to see what Lagway does in this game, because a lot of people have probably already written out Graham Mertz, and I like Graham Mertz, but it is good to see freshmen go out there and actually get reps in college games, and we're gonna see it this Saturday against Samford. So yeah. I'm ready to see what he has to offer for this team, even though I feel like there's a lot of questions for Florida, but in terms of what he can bring to the table, I'm very excited to see what DJ can showcase to us.
Yeah, I am too. Expecting he's a very talented player, so we're expecting big things out of him, and we'll see if he's talented enough to have his abilities showcase and be on display so early in his career, because some guys can get ruined being inserted into action a little too soon, but maybe he is primed and ready for the moment.
Yeah, it very could well be that case. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what he does for Florida this week, and we'll definitely be talking about it here on the show. But anything else you want to add about this, Chris, before we move on to some of our big games of the week?
Nah, we good with the chips and salsa. I'm ready for these sizzling fajitas that they're bringing out to the table.
All right, my friend. Yeah, well, let's go ahead over to the grill right quick. see what we had this week. All right, folks. Well, yeah, we got a couple of really big games coming up this week, everyone. So, one of the big games, if you haven't been lying under a rock, you probably already know Texas is taking a nice long trip, Chris, up to Ann Arbor, Michigan. So that's going to be an interesting game where you got the Longhorns taking on the Michigan Wolverines in this game. I think this is an early game in the day.
Yes, sir.
11 a.m. kickoff. So yeah, this is a really interesting ball game that I'm excited to see. I want to see how this Texas football team can handle that long trip up to Ann Arbor. Right now, Texas, the line is Texas as a 7.5 point favorite to win this ball game. So
big noon kickoff.
Yeah, exactly. So I am leaning towards Texas winning this ball game. After what we saw with Michigan, I just don't see how Michigan can outlast this potent offense that Steve Sarkisian has right now. So, what are your thoughts going into this game, Chris? Are we kind of on the same wavelength?
We on the same wavelength, frequency, accord, tune. We're in sync, on the same page. Um, whatever other phrases you can that express a thing is eye to eye. We are we are all
Same
of that.
groove.
Yes, yes, all the above. So I say the same thing, Corey. I see it playing out that way. I can see Michigan making this competitive early. I can see this maybe being a filling out process, maybe kind of similar to Georgia Clemson
Hmm.
in the first half. You Texas is going into the big house. Michigan, they are still the defending national champs. They've had that championship pride and pedigree about themselves, so they aren't going to just fold easily. But that offensive performance that we saw from them against Fresno, that is not going to get it done here, brother. You know even more than I do about
Hmm.
this Texas front, that D line that they have in Austin. Them boys are serious.
Yeah.
We talk about Miami's D line. Texas D line is of the same caliber, same pedigree of 4-star, 5-star guys right there, ready to stuff the run first
Hmm.
and foremost, and also rush the passer. So I think it's going to be a long day for Michigan ultimately. I think Texas covers this, and I think it might be a big beatdown in the big house. It might get ugly here, Corey. I could see this being a 20+ point win for Texas. Just just when you look at the scheme Texas runs, how great their defense is, and it's of the caliber of Michigan's, but Michigan's offense is not there. And if you continue to throw that defense out on the field over and over because of 3-and-outs, eventually, man, I don't care who you are, you're going to bowl at some point. So yeah, I think Texas runs away with this one.
No, you're right. I think both offensively, but most importantly defensively, Texas is just going to be too much for the Michigan Wolverines in this ball game. Unless they have Donovan Edwards just turn Super Saiyan all the way
Or
through the
had a
game.
right, or just had a come to Jesus meeting and just somehow just turn up leaps and strides in a matter of days. I mean,
Hmm.
I just what we saw Saturday, Corey. I don't know how Michigan wins, like you said.
Yeah, it's too difficult, man. And like that defensive front for Michigan, where you got Jeray Bledsoe, Alfred Collins, which a lot of people around here in the Austin area like to talk about. I mean, this
Hmm.
it this is a stat roster from top to bottom. So, man, they're gonna have to really, come out with the big guns to try to protect the big house if they want to, get a win at home and you know, keep everything on the up and up. As they're
Hmm.
defending national champions right now, everyone's gunning for them. So, yeah, I definitely understand where Vegas is looking at this right now as having Texas as a 7.5 point favorite. Yeah, I'm definitely
I
going
mean,
to
think
take that
about
plus
this.
the points.
These are two teams ranked in the top 10 nationally, and Texas is going on the road. And they're 7.5 point favorites. That should tell you all you need to know about this ball game.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, give me the horns to cover.
Yeah.
That's and that may or may not be a sneak peek into one of our picks later on in the show.
Nah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah, it's gonna be a route. So get your big boy britches on, Michigan fans. I don't think you're gonna be too pleased by what's gonna happen this week. But hey,
Yeah.
at least you're playing at home.
Yeah, yeah, there are brighter days to come. Maybe you'll be able to bounce back against some other Big Ten opponents, but this weekend I don't think it's gonna be the weekend for you, Wolverine fans.
Yeah. Nah, I agree. I agree with you. Well, partner, anything else you want to add to this game before we move on to our next game?
No, sir. We can keep it on trucking.
All right.
We can get on to the next fajita.
Nice, nice. And that's a 11 a.m. kickoff on Fox. So be sure to tune into that game. Our next game on today's show that we're going to discuss is, I'd say this is probably a very interesting ball game, Chris. It has a lot of implications right now, early implications in just in terms of the I guess two conferences, their reputations. Yeah, I mean, you got an SEC team on one side and you got an ACC team on the other side. Tennessee taking on NC State at NC State this week. That should be a big matchup. A lot better opponent.
It was definitely circled on the calendar in the preseason.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. So yeah, it's if you're Nico Iamaleava, this is definitely going to be a better opponent for you. So don't have to worry about playing Chattanooga this week. You're gonna be playing up with one of the better teams in the ACC, and that's knowing what we know right now. That's saying something. So,
definitely.
Yeah. If you know what I mean, Chris.
I know what you mean, brother. I know exactly what you mean. It ain't looking too hot in the ACC right now.
Yeah.
Outside of Miami.
Yeah. I mean, we can go on and on with that, but we'll probably leave that for another episode.
We'll get into that a little later.
Yeah.
Well, maybe even just a little more in this as we break down this matchup.
Maybe so. We're dropping hints, folks, on today's show. But yeah. So Tennessee, it looks like they are a 10-point favorite. Vegas has them as a 10-point favorite in this ball game. I'm definitely gonna go with that just because Nico looked amazing last week, and I don't see why he wouldn't look any more amazing this week. I know it's gonna be better competition. NC State is a capable football team at beating you, and they have a lot of players on this team. So Grayson Call is back. Concepcion, which is one of the best wide receivers in the ACC and probably in the country right now. So they have ballers. But overall, I think Tennessee, it will be a tussle probably all the way until mid third quarter, and I think I'm looking at Tennessee as kind of widening that gap and running away with the game as it finishes up. So, what is your take on this game? What do you see happening?
I ain't gonna hold you, brother. I think Tennessee gonna be on their neck. After the first whistle, as soon as they kick the ball off, boom! I think Tennessee is going to get after it. I think this is going to be a message to the country, similar to how Miami had their message to the country. Their coming out party against Florida. I think this is what's going to be Tennessee's coming out party. I think this is Nico's coming out party. He gets to play all four quarters in this game. He ain't just gonna play the first half. He gets to play all four quarters and put on a show. I think, no disrespect to NC State, they have a good defense. Like not an average defense, not a great defense, but they have a good defense. I just don't think a good defense is enough for a player of Nico Iamaleava's pedigree and for an offense of Tennessee's pedigree. I granted they played UT Chat last week. I mean, but that's not what I'm judging them off of. I saw a team that was executing flawlessly crisp. Nico's passes, crisp. The timing was there. I mean, from the first drive. Those are things that stand out and that you want to look for and see out of a team. And it looks like Coach Heupel, he has what he's been wanting. We saw how prolific that offense was under Hendon Hooker. To be honest with you, Kory, I think this team could be even greater offensively. And that was a great offense. But I think it's going to get ugly. Originally, the point spread, I think, was 7.5 for Tennessee. It's been already betted up to the point where it's now -10. And it could be -14, and I would still take it. Give me Tennessee by throttling. Yes, I said it. Tennessee by throttling. If NC State proves otherwise, so be it. Credit to them. But that boy Nico Iamaleava, we talked about him all off season. He's special, Kory. He's a Sunday player, as we say on the show. And I expect him to put on a Sunday player performance come Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean that very well could be the case. I definitely understand kind of where you're coming from with it. I mean, Tennessee, they looked very good against UT Chattanooga. So, it's for me, I'm looking at just the difference in talent. I mean, NC State is going to be much better than UT Chattanooga.
Sure. It's night and day.
For me, I'm just kind of looking at it as, NC State is at home. I do feel like they were playing down to their opponent against Western Carolina. So I don't think they're going to do that. Which
you don't
is
think
why
that's the real NC State? You would hope it's not. Because if it is,
if it is ACC, we got some issues. Okay, I'm just saying, like don't make me go on this show and say that the American Conference is looking more like a Power 5 conference than y'all are, because that very well could be the case, and we will. I know we might hear a little bit about that on both bets.
Why you play? I think it is the case.
Look. I know we haven't got to your both bets segment yet, but I know you probably got you got a little carrot dangling in for us before we head off today.
I do. I definitely do. Oh man, but no, I understand where you're coming from, Kory. I do. Because NC State, like we said in preseason that a lot of intel when you look at beat writers, the content they put out in regards to NC State and just how they talk about this year's team, they have high expectations for NC State, like that they can compete for a playoff spot. So if that's the case, you have to show up and not only compete, but you need to win this game to stamp yourself as a playoff contender. So they need this one. So they very well can probably come out playing maybe with a little sense of urgency and a little sense of desperation after the performance they put on in week 1. So we'll see what NC State team we get. But just me personally, it ain't gonna be enough. I just don't see a world where it's enough. I really don't.
Oh man, I mean, look, this is a big year for both teams, but in terms of Tennessee, who I agree with you. I think they are going to win big in this one. This game right here can be like a wake-up call for everybody else in the SEC when it comes to Tennessee. A lot of people outside of like your Georgias, Alabamas, Texas, and a couple other teams, Oklahoma, is kind of, they're one of those teams where it's kind of like, we'll wait and see. But, Tennessee is definitely on the rise. They definitely have the quarterback that can take them to to a college football playoff and potentially a national championship. So, these are the kinds of games that you need to set the tone. These tone-setting games, and I think it's going to start off well for them this week by getting the W and showcasing a lot of people in the country why Tennessee is a threat.
Yep, 100%. I agree.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll definitely see. But that game should be a 6:30 p.m. kickoff on ABC. So, anything else you want to add to this game, Chris, before we move on?
Just one more thing, just real quick. Be on the lookout. We love our defensive lines on this show. Tennessee is another team that has a really good group up front. So definitely be on the lookout to see how that SEC D line matchup is against the NC State Wolfpack. You have D lines and then you have SEC D lines. Yeah, I think Tennessee's is one of the better defensive lines in the conference, and you can put them up there with 10, 15 other groups across the nation. So be on the lookout to see just if this game gets ugly early, it ain't just only because of the offense. It's also because that D-line is making life just miserable for that NC State offense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know they got to be knowing that going in. So if you don't know that going in, then good luck.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's definitely going to be something to look out for. And one other thing, the game is going to be in North Carolina, but they are going to be playing this game. I guess you can say in a neutral light field, neutral site field.
Yeah, we can call it neutral site. It was in Charlotte.
Yeah,
at the Belk Bowl.
Yeah, Bank of America Stadium. So it's going to be rocking. Tennessee fans, they travel very well, so you will definitely see a lot of orange.
This year's team.
Yeah.
They are all in on this year's team.
They're going to be hopping out that bus.
Like how everybody else is like, oh, Tennessee might be on to something. Like, a lot of national people are kind of catching on to Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they've been on it. Since Nico hit the field in the bowl game last year, they have been all in on this team. Since Nico came on campus, they've been waiting for him to be the starting quarterback. So they are all in on this squad.
1 foot hit the pavement, they were already rocking rock top.
Man, when pen was put to paper, he was signed.
Oh man! Shout out to Rock Top, Tennessee. Oh man, yeah, but no, you're right. So yeah, there's a lot of excitement this season for this team, it should be a very good game. So we'll definitely be catching that one, and we'll definitely review it for our Monday show. So yeah,
yes, sir.
All good to head to the next game now.
Let's keep it moving. This is going to be a fun one, too, this next one.
All right. So, I agree with you, partner. This game...
Might be the funnest game of the weekend.
I know. This
the most fun game of the weekend.
Yeah. we talk about program, tone-setting games, Chris. I think this is another one that we're going to see this week. We got the Kentucky Wildcats hosting South Carolina Gamecocks this Saturday. So it's going to be a 2:30 kickoff game on ABC. So, this is a very big game for both teams. You got Brock Vandegrift taking on Lenora Sellers. So, it's... It's gonna be rocking down there at Kroger Field, Chris. A lot of Kentucky fans are trying to see this through this year. It's gonna be a big game, but I think Mark Stoops, coming back to Kentucky after everyone thought that he was going to leave.
Oh boy.
I mean, they got their eyes on it. If you someone in Lexington right now, you really got your eyes on this football team, and you don't really want the wheels falling off this season. But I'm looking at Kentucky right now as an 8.5 point favorite. After what I saw last week with South Carolina, which I have to say that was abysmal against Old Dominion. I do say that Kentucky does have the edge right now on the Gamecocks. So I am leaning towards that 8.5 points that Vegas has them as a realistic expectation for them this weekend. I think they can get the job done. But what are your thoughts about this game, Chris?
Yeah, I agree. After watching both games, had to go back and watch the Kentucky game, more of it. Like, I saw some of it live, but I had to go back and actually watch that one. And then was also
ended early.
Yeah, because of the weather was crazy there.
Yeah,
and shout out to yeah, for real though. Shout out to BBN because the kickoff got delayed and that place was still packed, still rocking for that ball game late into the night. So that's the kind of environment you love to see. But I also saw a good bit of this ODU South Carolina game, and buddy, South Carolina's offense has a lot to work on. Them boys was getting clamped up by ODU. Sellers did not have a great first game. Looked rattled. No rhythm offensively. Ultimately, the only reason South Carolina won that game, Kory, was because they just had more talent. Like, they didn't out-execute ODU. It was nothing of that sort. Just had better athletes. And that's how they ended up getting the win. An ugly win. So they play like that against Kentucky. This is a very sound, disciplined, rowdy, rough, athletic, fast Kentucky defense. They will get turnovers and interceptions if Sellers is struggling to throw the ball downfield. And Kentucky will punch you in the mouth and run the football and get some explosives in the passing game with Vandergriff, Dane Key, and Barryon Brown. And they also have Brown Stevens at wide receiver. They have some receivers. So, could be a game it could get ugly. It could. There's a possibility of getting ugly, but also South Carolina has had Kentucky's number the last couple of seasons. So I'm sure Coach Beamer will be juicing his guys up and letting them know that, we have their number, and I'm expecting a much better effort from South Carolina in this game. But ultimately, I think Kentucky will pull away and win by a couple TDs.
No, I think you're right, partner. I definitely think Kentucky is going to be too much for the Gamecocks this weekend. I think South Carolina is going to be motivated to play this game because it is a conference game, and that definitely matters. So I have no issues with Shane Beamer motivating the guys. It's just when we always talk about it a lot, where the Jimmys and Joes conversation. I just think Kentucky has a little bit more in the tank in terms of Jimmys and Joes than South Carolina is, and I think they're just a little bit sharper with their football team, and a little bit of that is I think Brock Vandegrift is the better quarterback of the two between him and Sellers. Sellers can make things happen with his legs. I mean, he did get a touchdown in that game along with Raheem Sanders. So, they were the bulk of that offense. But yeah, man, I think overall If you're Kentucky, you're at home. It's a conference game. You're on ABC. I do think we'll get to see that full Kentucky team that we wanted to see from last week. That we had hoped to get last week. Before they had cut the game short. But I do think that you're right. We're going to get a lot of motivation from both teams. But overall, I think Kentucky has this game pretty tight.
Yeah, if this game ends up being closer than we anticipate, I think it's going to come down to this matchup. The best players on both lines. You have Kentucky's offensive line, their left tackle, Cox. He's one of the better tackles in the conference. He'll be matching up against Dylan Stewart, true freshman, 5-star recruit coming out of high school, freak pass rusher. I mean, just as naturally gifted and talented as they come. He's a bad man. So if he has an impact on this game, that will be big. If he can get in the backfield and disrupt Vandergriff and his offense's rhythm, Dylan Stewart will be the reason why South Carolina has a chance. I'm sure you've probably seen some of his film, and you might have seen the tape on him and just the havoc he was wreaking in against ODU. If he does those things against Kentucky, this can be a game because he is special. So that will be the matchup to see. That left side going on, the left tackle going up against the end. That will be the matchup in this one.
Yeah, and what Chris is talking about, folks. I mean, Dylan Stewart, number 6 for South Carolina, 6'6", 248 pounds, freshman out of DC, out of the DC area. I mean, this guy's a freak. He's
That's not the way to put it.
Yeah, like I'm sure he's going to be on Tim Tebow's Freak of the Week segment this season. So if he hasn't been already,
Sunday guy. He I know he's a true freshman, but we're telling you now, he's a Sunday player.
Yeah.
He'll be a top 10 pick when his time comes for the NFL draft.
Yeah. Nah, I definitely agree. That guy's a stud. So yeah. They're gonna have to watch out.
Alden Smith. You remember Alden?
Oh yes.
Prime Alden Smith? Yeah. He has like Alden Smith characteristics to him with his like wiry frame. Granted, he's a true freshman, so it makes sense. He's he's filled out enough where you're 6'6", 248, but still he can put on some more weight, but just very wiry and just so doggone fast. But yet in that frame, so strong. Like he wasn't just speed rushing; he was running through them, power rushing to the quarterback. I mean, he has all the tools.
Yeah, he definitely has all the intangibles to take over a ball game, man. I mean, look, anytime you can get a guy like a Dylan Stewart into your program, hey, man, we saw it firsthand with a guy like Chris Jones and a Jeffrey Simmons. Like, those guys come a dime in a dozen. So yeah, no, I get what you mean. They're rocking over there with at South Carolina right now with a guy like Stewart. So we'll definitely see if he can help catapult this defense into getting some breaks and helping his team lead to a victory. So we'll definitely be watching out for that game, man. I think overall it's going to be more of a defensive matchup. It's going to be a close game overall, and it is going to come down to who has that edge on both lines of scrimmage. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting ball game. But anything else that you want to add to this game, Chris, before we move on?
No, sir.
All right. Well, After that, we don't really have any other headlining games to talk about, Chris. But
Maybe just one more. Oh, I'm about to say
oh
yeah.
no, no sir, you can go ahead and say what you're gonna say.
Okay. I was gonna say, maybe not, might not be talking about two ranked teams, but a couple of big college football brands, one with a little more tradition than the other, but the following for the other school is at an all-time high. I think we could say about this program.
Well, yes. Well, go ahead and let the good people know what we're referring to.
We are talking about the team your father, probably your parents grew up watching, the Nebraska Cornhuskers,
Yeah.
taking on the Buffs, Colorado Buffaloes, Coach Prime and them, Shador Sanders, Shiloh Sanders, in the gang, in what will be I anticipate being a fun matchup. In this one, Dylan Raiola at quarterback, true freshman for Nebraska,
Baby Mahomes.
and Shador Sanders, potential baby Mahomes Jr. And then you got Shador Sanders, who's anticipated to be a top 10 pick in the upcoming draft here next April.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, should be a big game. It's in Lincoln this week, Chris. Last year they played it in Boulder, so they're going to be rocking in Memorial Stadium this weekend. Nebraska is a 7-point favorite right now from Vegas, so that's also interesting as well. So they apparently Vegas is looking at Nebraska, as a pivotal opponent for the Buffaloes this week. So Raiola, Shador Sanders, it should be a very good game. It should be a high scoring game, I would think. I think both of these teams have capable quarterbacks that can really throw downfield and air it out. So if you like points, definitely watch this game.
Yeah. This game should be electric. I think it'll be very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
It can end up being a game that comes down to the last possession, who has the ball last. It can really be a back and forth affair.
Mm-hmm.
We love Dylan Raiola on this show. He also is a freshman too.
Yeah.
So we'll see how he performs in a big moment, a big stage like this, and if it becomes a duel, can he hang with someone who has been in his fair share of duels? Shador Sanders.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. Dylan Raiola last week, he was 19 for 27, 238 yards, with 2 touchdowns in their win against UTEP last week. So yeah, it's a tall task ahead of him, Chris. Taking on a guy like Shador Sanders that a lot of people are looking at as a Heisman favorite. He's going to be in that Heisman running. Him and Travis. So it should be a good game, should be a fun one. But it's great that we do get to see a guy like Raiola coming in as a freshman to take on a team in Colorado that's trying to become a better team, better than they were last year. A lot better than they were last year, with just winning 4 games. So. But yeah, we'll definitely see. I'm excited, man. Should be a good one overall.
Should be. Who do you see coming away with the dub in this one, Kory?
Oh man. I will say if Colorado plays the way that they played last week, I'm gonna have to say Nebraska wins. And they win big.
That's
nothing against Shador.
That.
Yeah, it's nothing against Shador. nothing against Travis Hunter. I think both of those guys are studs in their position. But overall, in terms of a complete ball game, I'm eyeing Nebraska as the favorites in this game.
Yeah, they're the favorites for good reason. They look like a more complete ball club. I definitely trust Nebraska's defense more than Colorado's. I think Nebraska. You have a player that we feel like. I'm sure I think I can speak for the both of us when I say that I think we think Dylan Raiola, somebody that will be playing in the NFL one day. I think we look at him as a pro prospect, a potential first round pick when the time comes. So, someone of his talent, his abilities, I think he can take full advantage of this Colorado defense that is improved from last year, but still has a ways to go. And maybe they can make a leap in this ball game and show us something that they haven't yet. But based on what we saw and what we saw last season, just don't think they're there yet. They just maybe need another cycle, and maybe another recruiting cycle away from really reaching that point you need to have the kind of defense you want. Yeah. So I think Nebraska will take advantage, and I see them getting the win in this one too, Kory.
Yeah. I think overall they're just going to be a little bit too much for them. I mean, yeah, you playing UTEP, but I think there's something special that Matt Rule is building with this Nebraska football team, and I think Vegas feels it. Obviously, we both kind of feel something right now. A lot of other fans are, especially Nebraska fans, are feeling a lot of excitement right now about this team. So I do think they're going to be very competitive, but make no mistake, this team can air it out.
Yeah, big time. They can't air it out. And I don't want to undersell Colorado. Like you got Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, two exceptional, amazing players. So we will see if they win this game. Then best believe those two had big time performances. And in games like this, all it takes is those guys just being great and just making a few plays that those other guys on Nebraska can't do. So, if they put on their A game, Colorado can very well win this game. We do not want to sit here and act like Colorado has no chance.
No,
how I feel about it.
There's a chance when you have a guy like Travis Hunter out there that's very skilled offensively and defensively as a player. Like, yeah, you always got a chance. But we also realize that it can't always be the Travis Hunter show or the Shedeur Sanders show. It has to be a little bit more in the tank. So somebody does have to step up. But no, I definitely get where you're coming from, Chris. If they put a great game plan together and really stop Nebraska, or maybe not even stop them, but just kind of slow them down a little bit, and play your game. In Colorado, just be yourself. You have an opportunity to squeak out of this game with a W. So yeah, and I definitely agree with you. They're just going to have to be all hands on deck and have to really perform at a high level.
Yeah. I agree. They're going to have to bring their A game. I'm a roll Nebraska in this one, though.
Yeah. Well, that's it's definitely going to be a great game. I can't wait to watch it. And we're going to be we're definitely going to see who comes out of that game with the W. But anything else you want to add to this game, Chris? Before we move on to Bolton's bets, week 2.
Week 2, baby. I think we can keep it pushing. We can go on to Bolton's bets.
Nice. Well, all right, everyone. So we got week 2 of Bolton's bets, where Chris looks at a couple of other games going on around the country and he gives his betting favorites, his betting odds on a couple teams and tries to put a little money in your pocket. So Chris, I'm going to let you go ahead, good sir, and let us know what are some of your big games, big picks for the week in Bolton's bets.
Yes, sir. First off, on the recap last week, real quick, we went 4-1. So, hopefully I helped, put a little bread in you guys' pockets. We had a good week 1 to start the season. And we're trying to keep it rolling in week 2. My philosophy. We watch all these games, Kory, and you can tell when a team's offense is different. I think early in the season, we want to lean on trusting great offenses.
Yes.
So for this week, and honestly, probably for the entirety of the season, if Ole Miss is favored, I'm taking Ole Miss to cover. It's just that. I'm not going to make it any harder than it has to be. I know they didn't play anybody just special, but same philosophies apply. They looked spectacular. They look like a team that brought back a lot of pieces, that has great talent on the outside, and it has a Heisman candidate at quarterback with Jackson Dart. When you put those things together, plus Lane Kiffin being the asshole he is, he's not going to call the dog. He's going to run it up by any means necessary every week. So I feel good taking Ole Miss against Middle Tennessee to cover the spread, even though it's 41.5 points. Ole Miss should cover. They looked lights out last week.
Yeah.
Also,
despite
Tennessee
playing Furman.
Yeah, despite playing Furman. We just look at how Ole Miss played. Don't worry about the opponent. It was a scrimmage. Just look at how they are playing.
Yeah, you just look at them.
Right. Just look at how flawless that offense was. They executed throughout the whole game.
Exactly.
Also, Tennessee, 9.5 point favorites against NC State. Mm-hmm. We've already talked about that game. I think Nico Iamaleava, if you want to throw just a little coins on him to win the Heisman, go right on the head. I think it's well worth it. He's someone that can ultimately possibly win the Heisman, and if he does so, it's because he goes crazy in a game like this, primetime matchup on national TV on ABC.
Yeah.
I think this is the coming out party for him in Tennessee. I've got Tennessee covering the spreads. It was 7.5, now we're 9.5. Don't matter. Take it. Penn State. We would not have had this team on Bolton's bets to be covering last year. But we both watched that game against West Virginia, you can tell they have a new offensive coordinator.
Oh, yeah.
This team, the offense is revamped. They were having explosive plays, dynamic touchdowns. Receivers were getting separation and open and getting in space. And Drew Allar had passing windows. We are Drew Allar supporters on this show.
Yeah.
We both like Drew Allar. He is a very talented quarterback. And
yes.
I think he will continue to put that on display this week against Bowling Green. 35.5 point favorites. I see Penn State covering. Last but not least, Texas to beat Michigan. I took the Texas money line in this one. If you feel confident that Texas will cover, go right on ahead by any means. Take Texas to cover. But since this is the SEC Big Ten matchup, Texas on the road at the big house, weird things can happen. Might end up being a closer game than we anticipate, but ultimately I think Texas as the much better team, and I think they will win. Granted, I do think they will win comfortably, but just to err on the side of caution, you can take the Texas money line, and the odds still are pretty good. It's not the worst you could do. So those are my 4 locks. Since I'm gonna sprinkle in a couple more for you guys, those 4 are the locks. just a couple more plays for you. In case you want to you want to add a couple of these games. Kentucky money line, same philosophy. Kentucky looked great week 1. I think they're much better than South Carolina, but weird things do happen when Kentucky and South Carolina play. This is a conference matchup. So you want to take that into account as well. And so I think Kentucky is ultimately the better team. So I got the Kentucky money line in this one. Louisville, yeah, I know my friend Kory. He has his Cardinals jersey in the closet. He's been ready to put it on. We talked about the American Conference. I think Louisville, they're a team that we talked about, like the American and the ACC. I think Louisville might ultimately be the second best team in the ACC.
I definitely
behind
think so.
Miami.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, Chris. I've been thinking that too. The last couple of weeks, I'm like, man, who are some of who's like the top 5 best teams in the ACC? Knowing what we know right now with Clemson and especially Florida State after that debacle of a game against Boston College. I mean, hey, Boston College might be, they
might be top 5.
Yeah, I love their quarterback. I love their receivers. Like, hey, they got an opportunity to put their name in that hat. But yeah, no, I was definitely thinking about it along with Miami. Who are some of the other top teams in the ACC? And I think number 2 definitely has to be Louisville. The Cardinals are really good. Probably 3rd. We'll see. Right now, I have
could be Georgia Tech.
It could be Georgia Tech. It could be Georgia Tech. It could be SMU. It could be Boston College. Could be. SMU has a big game. As we're recording this on a Thursday, they have a good big game against BYU this Friday.
Yeah.
So, we'll definitely see what happens with the Mustangs. But yeah, I do think those are some of the top teams in the ACC. Everybody else is kind of everybody else at this point.
I agree. There's Miami on their own tier. There's Louisville in its own tier, and then there's everybody else, like the 3 through 7, just jostling for position.
Right.
And so yeah. I agree with you. And then based on how Louisville played in their season opener, the defense was jumping on reads, getting pick sixes. The offense was executing, throwing the ball downfield. Coach Brom has that program rolling, man. He's come in and Louisville is back. So I think they cover 29.5-point faves against Jacksonville State. They cover in that one. In Alabama, we like what we saw from Alabama. Granted, it was Western Kentucky, but secondary was flying around, getting interceptions. Jalen Milroe looked very good in Coach DeBoer's offense and his system. I like what I saw from the Tide, man. So, granted, South Florida, they are a good team. They played well in their season opener too, but they are this time around heading to Bryant-Denny. I think Bryant-Denny picks and chooses when to be rocking. I think this week they will be rocking. I think the fan base there's a lot of positive momentum. I think there's a lot of positive momentum going on in T-Town for this squad. So people are behind them. I think the place will be rocking. I think Bama will I wonder if South Florida might be a little shocked, a little taken aback from the environment. It might be a lot for them. And I think Alabama will take advantage and end up covering as well in that matchup, as they are 29.5-point favorites in that game too. So those are just 3 more that you can also possibly maybe make some plays with. But the first 4 are my locks.
Nice. Well, hey, no, I like all those picks, man. We'll see what happens with Bama. I mean, we all know what happened last year with that South Florida game. So, it's a new Bama now, Chris. So, it's going to be it's going to be a lot different of a game, I think, this season for the Tide and the Bulls. But no, I love all of your picks. It's going to be a great week. It's a lot of, hidden gems this week, in college football overall. So, yeah, I'm definitely excited to see how all of your picks come out. We didn't discuss Auburn and Cal taking on each other.
Yeah, Auburn and Cal. That's an interesting matchup. Actually, I think that Auburn probably will dominate. Honestly, Auburn, they looked legit. Granted, it was Alabama A&M that they played week 1, but Auburn looked really good in their season opener. And we know who's the head coach there, Hugh Freeze, baby. So he had Thorne looking like a legitimate QB in that ball game. So Auburn, that's another team to be on the lookout for in the SEC, man. They might make some noise this year.
They might. I'm keeping my eyes close on the Auburn program this year just to see what they do. But yeah, it's it could be one of those sneaky teams.
Cam Coleman, he's him. He's him.
Yeah,
just go ahead and put that out there.
Oh man, yeah. It's a sneaky Auburn team right now. I say no one's really talking about Auburn right now, but you keep our eyes out on the Tigers this season. They still got a couple of players out there, a couple of playmakers that can definitely help catapult them into having a pretty good season this year. So yeah, man. Like I said, great picks. Should be a great week
Thank
too.
you.
And we'll definitely.
We're hoping for the 4-0 sweep.
Yeah. You got to keep it going. We got to keep it going. You gotta get those picks right, and you gotta make sure we put some money in some people's pockets. So you keep the good times rolling, is what they say.
Oh yeah, we got to keep the vibes going.
Exactly. Exactly, man. Well, partner, it was a great show with you again, as always. We always love being with you guys here talking college football, and should be a great week too in the world of college football. But outros before we get out of here, Chris, let the good people know where they can find you on social media.
Yes, y'all can find me on X at Chris_Bolton_12. Also, you can find me on Instagram. I'm sorry, at Chris.Bolton_. So get at your boy. Talking CFB, college football, wrestling, boxing, NFL football, fantasy football, all that good stuff.
All of it.
Just get at me.
Exactly. Yeah, and you can find me on X as well, at Listen to KSW, all one handle. I'm on there talking college football, professional wrestling, NFL is back. So, yeah, be sure to follow me on there. But yeah.
All right.
Well, another great show, my friend. Week 2 is almost here, so we'll definitely be checking out the games. I know we'll be talking about them throughout the day, and we'll be back here, folks, for you all next Monday to go over everything, the week that was week 2 in college football. But for Kory Willis, Chris Bolton, this is the Breakdown Sportscast, and we will definitely talk to y'all later.
Peace.
Peace.